All right, listen up. Most of you have never grown a crop that is, well, virtually impossible to kill. You're out there babying your tomatoes, praying they don't get some kind of fungus. It's pathetic. Today, you're going to learn about a plant that basically operates on cheat codes.
I'm not kidding. If the whole system just collapsed tomorrow, this is your survival insurance policy. This is the plant you bet on when everything else is turned to ash. Forget your canned beans. This is the real deal.
Okay, let's get into it. The plant's called a sunchoke, and it's a biological beast. See, nature usually rewards the fragile things, but this thing's different. Above ground, it looks like a totally harmless sunflower, but the real treasure is hidden. It's kind of like a ghost plant. What you see is not what you get.
I mean, just look at this thing. It's absurd. It flexes on potatoes by having more calories. You can freeze it solid in the mud and it just shrugs it off. Try to rip it out, it practically laughs in your face and grows back from the tiniest piece you miss. And while all your other vegetables are rotting away, this thing is just chilling. It's basically immortal.
But its real secret, its true genius, isn't just that it survives. It's what it does to your body. This plant has a biological glitch, a cheat code really, that completely changes the energy game.
The secret is this compound called inulin. Now, don't let the sciencey name throw you. See, most root vegetables, they're packed with starch, right? Your body burns through that stuff fast. This is the exact opposite. Inulin is a prebiotic fiber, and your body processes it on a totally different level.
So think of it like this. Eating a potato is like lighting a firecracker. You get a big, fast bang of energy, and then poof, nothing. You crash. Hard. But the sunchoke, with its inulin, that's like putting a big log on the fire. It's a slow, steady, consistent release of fuel. No spike, and more importantly, no crash.
Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Be honest. You've been there, you eat a huge plate of fries, and suddenly you have the energy of a sedated sloth. That's the starch crash. Well, this plant is the answer to that fundamental biological flaw.
But here's where it gets really, really interesting. This isn't some new age health food discovery. No. This plant has a legendary, forgotten history. It's gone from being treated like gold to being used as a secret weapon in a world war. Just check out this fall from grace. For indigenous peoples, this was currency. They traded it all across the continent. Then, flash forward to World War II, it was the secret food that kept France from starving. And today? Today, most people call it a weed and try to poison it. The ignorance it's just staggering. Think about that for a second. The Nazis march into France and, being obsessed with efficiency, they confiscate the main food source, potatoes. They just dismiss the sunchokes as worthless weeds. So while the invaders were eating their boring starch, the French were secretly surviving on this underground superfood. They were literally hiding food in plain sight. Okay, but I have to give you a warning. This isn't a game. Its greatest strength, that it's basically immortal, is also its greatest danger. If you're not careful, this thing will own you. And make no mistake, this is a Tier 1 invasive species. It's right up there with bamboo. You leave one tiny, fingernail-sized piece of root in the soil, and boom, it will clone itself. An entire new plant will erupt next year. You don't just plant sunchokes, you enter into a lifelong, legally binding contract with them. And if you think I'm exaggerating the threat, look at this number. This is what happens when an invasive species gets loose. The prickly pear cactus was introduced to Australia and ended up consuming an area the size of Great Britain. That is the kind of power you are dealing with here.
So how do you get all the benefits without your yard turning into a sunchoke jungle? Well, you have to be smarter than the plant. You need a system. You need to know how to tame the eternal tuber.
And here it is. Step 1. Containment. Never, ever, ever plant it directly in the ground. Use a big pot, a raised bed, something with a barrier. Step 2. Wait. Don't harvest them too early. That first hard frost triggers a stress response in the plant that makes them way sweeter. And then step 3. Harvest. You can pull up to 50 pounds of food from one tiny controlled patch.
So let's just recap here. We have a plant that provides clean, diabetic-friendly energy. It survived the Ice Age, it fed an entire nation during a world war, and it grows back from pretty much nothing. It's the ultimate survival machine. It just begs the question, doesn't it? How does something so powerful, so historically significant, a plant that literally saved people from starvation while an empire marched over their heads, become just an annoying weed that your neighbor complains about?
And that's really the punchline. A plant that outsmarted an ice age and defied one of history's greatest villains gets reduced to a suburban nuisance. Humanity, you never fail to disappoint. Now that's absolutely wild.